What are we reviewing today? What are we introducing today? Well, it's Unit 3, Establishing, Implementing and Maintaining Systems for Managing Health, Safety and Welfare in the Workplace. Now, in the NVQ system, this has been rated with a credit value of 15, which in all intents and purposes makes this a double unit. And if this were a taught course, it would take a full month. So a month's 4 weeks of training, 40 hours a week. Key concepts. This is all about, as a manager, you creating, maintaining, monitoring, reviewing and adapting the health and safety practices and procedures of your company to ensure that a successful enthused health and safety working culture has been adopted at current legislation. So this will involve managing health and safety at planning, pre-start, at the start, production, completion and post-completion throughout the whole of the construction process. So this unit is all about your role in the management of construction health, safety and welfare. It's about what you do and how you do it. Now, what I'm going to do is just read the learning outcomes from this unit, and I'm going to go and name a few pieces of pertinent evidence, product evidence, which be applicable to each. So the first learning outcome is encourage a culture of health, safety and welfare on site and identify and implement improvements. Typical useful pieces of evidence for this are health and safety audits or health and safety meeting minutes, induction records, RAMs and COSH briefing registers. The second learning outcome. Allocate health, safety and welfare responsibilities which comply with current legislation and ensure site inductions consistently inform people of those responsibilities. Typical evidence, site meeting minutes, induction records and induction content, and RAMs, risk assessments and method statements, and risk assessment and method statement briefing registers. Third learning outcome. Ensure accurate and appropriate notices and hazard warnings that conform to current legislation are maintained. So with this you might want to include a site safety plan, a health and safety audit report, and on that report there will be a section which says where your signs are and are they in good working order. Number 4. Ensure health, safety and welfare equipment and resources are available and sufficient to meet current legislation. Ideal pieces of evidence for this are the PPE log, permits to work, which will state which PPE ought to be used, and the same with RAMs and COSH content and briefings. Site safety audits would also ensure that the safety equipment was available and was being used. Number 5. Implement systems which meet current legislation requirements to identify hazards. A hazard is anything that has the potential to cause harm to people, persons or plants. Reduce risks and maintain the health and safety and welfare of people. Typical pieces of evidence, risk and cost assessments or evaluations, site health, safety and welfare audits. Number 6. Ensure hazards are identified and obtain information on their significance. Here I would like to mention risk assessments and a construction phase plan. Now it could be that you use a construction phase plan throughout to evidence many of the learning outcomes in this unit, and you might call that construction phase plan evidence number 6. But it could be on learning outcome number 4, you want page 7 of that construction phase plan. so therefore you would evidence that as evidence number 6, page, and name the relevant page. Learning outcome number 7. Ensure the significant hazards are assessed to identify the residual risks, apply the principles of prevention to reduce the risks, and provide information to appropriate people. Construction phase plan again, risk assessment and briefings and permits to work. And number 8, monitor health, safety and welfare systems regularly for compliance with current legislation. Site safety meeting minutes, site meetings, audit reports and site safety registers. Now, as you have seen and heard now, I've often mentioned the same pieces of evidence for many of the learning outcomes. As mentioned at the beginning of this broadcast, that is perfectly acceptable. Choose wisely, look at all of the learning outcomes of a unit prior to commencing working on a section or the beginning, and so that you plan the evidence requirements thoroughly. This will enable you to complete this unit, it is a large unit, in a timely fashion.